Hi, I'm Ross Gilfillan. Welcome to Global Franchise Meets. In this series we talk to the leaders and the experts of international franchising. Today we meet Suzie McCafferty of Platinum Wave.
Okay, hello, my name is Suzie McCafferty, Managing Director of Platinum Wave Franchising. We are one of the British Franchise Association accredited franchise consultancy firms, and we work with franchise brands around the world in all sorts of sectors. I've been involved in franchising for 17 years. I actually came into the franchise industry as a franchisor. I started my first franchise business at the tender age of 23 and franchised that into a franchise network of about 70 franchisees in 6 different countries: UK, Ireland, Spain, Portugal, Dominican Republic and Kuwait. I then franchised another business into a 30 million network, this time recruitment agencies, so demonstrating the power of franchising. So around 7 years ago, I then started Platinum Wave Franchising, our consultancy firm, to help other businesses considering franchising to achieve the same. The master franchise model is an extremely powerful growth model. I've been involved, mostly with my own businesses, taking my brands international, as well as working with loads of brands around the world to help achieve the same. Investing in a master franchise is really that step into a new industry, and also sometimes taking new concepts into home markets. It's a very powerful growth tool. Having the support, the training and the experience of a franchisor behind you to take brands into the country is a proven success model for franchising. There are a number of key suggestions I would make to anybody buying a master franchise for the first time. Firstly, I would suggest that you research the market thoroughly. Look at all the different growth markets and countries: Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, Middle East, the US, where there's thriving franchising industries. Then look at all the different sectors and narrow down the sectors to those that appeal to you most in terms of return, in terms of the actual product or service, and so on. Once you've narrowed down your searches, have a look at the franchisor themselves. You need to make sure that the franchisor is a stable, profitable company, and that they're looking at master franchising for the right reasons. So not just to make money. They have genuine reasons to be using the master franchise model and genuine reasons for looking at your home market there as a growth market. Once you've done your research into the franchisor, you then need to do a territory feasibility study here in your home market to ascertain if that brand and sector will actually be applicable and successful here in your home market. So I'll talk about the territory feasibility study later on. So bringing a master franchise model to your home market can bring challenges. It's not simply a case of just dumping the brand into your home market and expecting it to work. So the challenges that you'll firstly encounter are, has the franchisor already prepared the documentation that you're going to need? Will the operations manuals, will the systems and procedures that they're using in other countries be applicable to your countries here, or will they need to be adapted? And if so, who will do that and at whose cost? Other challenges will be looking at things like supply chain and logistics. If it's a brand that has a product base, then you're going to need to make sure that the supply chain can either reach your market here, or do you have the right to source these products or equipment locally? If you don't look at those elements, then you could find that margins will be reduced because you're paying penalties for paying overseas shipping costs and so on. Other challenges include the actual ability for the business to be a success in your market. Don't assume, again, just because it works in somebody else's country, it's going to work here. If it's a new product or service that's not really heard of in your home market, then don't forget, as well as launching the business, you're going to have extra resource and time to be able to educate the market about that product or service. So it won't simply be a case of hitting the ground running. So potential investors should research a number of key elements. The trademark, has the brand got the right and the trademark for your market that you're about to trade in? Have they done the research into the logistics and supply chain? Have they done any research into the market here? What is the price point that is being used elsewhere, and how will that price point compare to the UK? Looking at all sorts of things like competitors is really, really important. Doing a territory feasibility is how you would go about it. And people like ourselves at Platinum Wave, the franchise lawyers, the accountants, and other advisors to the industry will all be able to help and advise what needs to go into that territory feasibility study. So the first step is research, research, research. So have a think about the type of market that you want to trade in. Have a think about the competition, doing the territory feasibility study, as I said before. But also one of the key considerations is the investment required to buy a master franchise. So not only will you have the upfront initial master franchise fee, you will also have the costs of getting the system ready for the UK or home market, which will include things like legal agreements, hiring staff, pilot operations, extra launch marketing to create awareness in the business. So then on top of that, you're going to need working capital. So getting the funding will be really, really important. Firstly, making sure you can get the funding required, but also building in that contingency. I always say to people, whatever you think it's going to be to buy your master franchise, to cover all these costs that I mentioned, double it. And then you've got a buffer to make sure that you succeed. This is an industry with a massively bright future. Franchising is wildly underestimated still here in the UK. A lot of organisations, the governments, etc., really haven't grasped that franchising is a force to be reckoned with. With public spending being reduced, more and more jobs are being threatened, etc., more people are wanting to take control of their future. So more and more people are starting to look at franchising and master franchising in our experience. So the future is very bright. The public definitely don't have a full and correct picture of franchising. I think there's more work to be done with business influencers throughout the UK to really demonstrate the power that franchising can bring. If you're a very entrepreneurial business and you've got ambitions to grow, these businesses should be knowing more about the power of franchising to help them achieve that growth. Similarly, if you've got the ambition to own a business but don't quite have the backing or the experience in a sector, then buying a franchise as a way to create enterprise is also a really exciting opportunity for more and more individuals nowadays. The most important thing that the franchising model achieves, I guess, is different for the franchisor and the franchisee. For the franchisor, it creates brand awareness, market share, and internationalization often. So all this enterprise and economy and boosting techniques. With the franchisee, and most important thing, again, I've seen so many franchisees and master franchisees buying franchise concepts where they genuinely have had life-changing experiences. Maybe they've been involved in the corporate rat race, are sick of the commute, sick of the constant restructuring, and actually have the ambition to do something for themselves. Often franchising can give people a much more flexible working environment where they're actually in the driving seat. I'd say the main challenges facing the industry are more and more people are starting to look at franchising as a business growth opportunity, and people perhaps were trying to franchise their business without the right advice, so they're not the strongest franchise propositions. So for franchisees buying into certain concepts, then it can be a little bit more risky. So those challenges are overcome by people like ourselves and other advisors to the industry, working with businesses to show them what ethical franchising can look like. I guess in the UK at the moment, a challenge, also an opportunity, is there are lots and lots of different food concepts and all sorts of sectors looking at franchising their business, but it's always bringing in new concepts. It's a challenge, and this is where people like ourselves look to other countries to find other concepts to bring into the UK to really keep our market here alive and kicking. Expos are a really important part of educating franchisors and franchisees. For franchisors, it's a great opportunity to see what others are doing and to be upskilling and refining their proposition, and to reaching people that wouldn't traditionally find you on recruitment portals and magazines and so on. For franchisees, hugely important still to go and educate themselves on the different concepts that are out there, the different levels of support and training, different fee structures and so on, so that when they're entering into a franchise, they've done their due diligence and they're completely confident that they've chosen the right opportunity.